The atmosphere surrounding Golden State is charged with expectations and unanswered questions. In the middle of summer, when most players take the opportunity to rest or fine-tune technical details quietly, some find themselves at the center of decisive debates. Today's show dives headfirst into three fronts: the unexpected injury of a promising name, behind-the-scenes developments within the current roster, and, of course, the trade rumors involving one of the team's most talked-about pieces. The season hasn't officially started yet, but the heat is already intense in the Bay Area. Before anything else, it's worth remembering that, even though the scenario may seem uncertain for some, the project is still under construction. And even though the subscriber count on the channel isn't quite where it should be, the Warriors fan community remains one of the most active and passionate in the NBA. If you haven't joined this group yet, now is the time. Updates come daily, the behind-the-scenes are always exposed here, and you won't miss a single detail. With that said, let's get straight to the point. Quinton Post. Maybe you've wondered why he wasn't present in the Summer League. His absence was noticed, but the reasons behind it might surprise you. It wasn't a matter of resting the player due to technical status or extreme confidence in his potential. The reality is that he's recovering from a persistent ankle injury, one that bothered him at the end of last season and has flared up again recently. According to reports from those present in Las Vegas, the player was kept out by medical advice to avoid worsening the situation. While the rest of the squad played the prep games, Post continued training at the team's facilities and followed everything closely from the sideline. It was a smart decision, considering the role he's expected to play in the upcoming campaign. It's no exaggeration to say that he'll be among the most relied-upon players in the paint. With or without reinforcement for the center position, Post is likely to log between 20 and 25 minutes per game, depending on the coaching staff's strategy. That alone is a clear sign of the confidence placed in his development. It's worth noting that his recent journey has been marked by a rapid rise. He arrived at the end of January on a temporary contract and was soon made official. By February and March, he was already starting several games, maintaining a solid scoring average and a respectable performance from long range. His growth curve is undeniable. But Post wasn't just focused on physical rehab. During his stay in Vegas, he also stood out for something unexpected: his performance in a chess tournament organized by Derrick Rose. With big NBA names participating and even professional chess players involved, the young player surprised everyone and went far in the competition. Even though he was eliminated in the semifinals, he shone in the blitz rounds, making it clear that his IQ goes far beyond the basketball court. Details like this might seem irrelevant to some, but they highlight a cerebral, strategic side that can be extremely useful on the court. Players who understand the game on deeper levels adapt more easily and read situations better, and that's gold in such a demanding league. Meanwhile, other members of the main roster also made appearances during the Summer League games. Trace Jackson-Davis, Brandon Podziemski, and Gui Santos were there as spectators. Their presence shows just how united the group is, even in the off-season. They understand that the team's success depends on building strong connections both on and off the court. Kevin Knox was also present. His career has been full of ups and downs, but at the end of last season, he was added to the main roster following the trade that brought in Jimmy Butler. Although he didn't get many minutes on the court, his presence on the bench during the playoffs shows he's seen as a potential depth piece, especially due to his attitude and fit within the Warriors' environment. However, Knox's permanence is still a question mark. With only 9 spots officially filled at the moment, there's room for movement, and management hasn't ruled out keeping him, possibly under a new, more flexible deal. He's seen as a piece that could be useful in certain situations, and that doesn't disrupt the team's internal dynamic. Still, not all fans are at ease with the current roster. Social media has become a stage for criticism and doubts about the team's direction. Some voices point to an imminent decline, while others believe there's a plan being executed behind the scenes that hasn't yet come fully to light. One person who doesn't seem worried is Steph Curry. In a recent statement, he expressed total confidence in the group being assembled. He made it clear that, although external narratives carry weight, What really matters is the internal vision and communication among those involved. He feels there's a solid path being followed and is confident the team can compete at a high level next season. This kind of stance is important because it indicates that the team's leaders are aligned with the front office. Steph isn't the type to speak without thinking. If he believes there's a promising foundation, it's because there's more going on behind the scenes than the average fan can see. And it's impossible to talk about the Warriors' present and future without mentioning Jonathan Kuminga. The player remains one of the most talked-about names of the offseason. Ever since Steph got injured in the playoffs against the Timberwolves, Kuminga had the chance to take on a more central role in the offense. His numbers were excellent, but the results, not so much. The team suffered 4 straight losses, which raised some concerns in the front office. He averaged 24 points, with excellent shooting efficiency and a confident offensive approach. But all of that came outside the team's usual system. With Steph out, the team played differently, more centered around Kuminga, which raises the question, can he truly shine within the ideal lineup? That dilemma is the core of the discussion. The same performances that increase his market value might also be the reason he wants out. Kuminga wants more protagonism, and there are rumors his price tag sits around $25 million per season. That's a steep ask for a player still in development and who hasn't shown consistency under pressure, and that's where the speculation begins. The Phoenix Suns are the latest team reportedly interested in the player. They showed interest back in February and are now returning to the conversation, especially after losing Kevin Durant. The idea would be to build a younger core alongside Devin Booker, and Kuminga would fit well in that plan. However, the challenge lies in the numbers. Both teams are paying hefty luxury tax penalties, and any trade has to be calculated to the decimal. One of the proposals circulating involves Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards in exchange for Kuminga. Another, less likely one, includes Grayson Allen and future picks, but Allen's contract is considered too burdensome by Golden State's front office. The question remains, what's more valuable right now? Financial flexibility and players ready to contribute immediately, or the bet that Kuminga could become a star in the future? That answer is still up in the air, and the saga promises new chapters in the coming weeks. We've reached this point with a sea of information, speculation, and unanswered questions still hanging over the team. But one thing is certain, the upcoming season will be crucial in defining Golden State's new direction. The roster is still under construction, negotiations are ongoing, and any move could completely shift the landscape. As the days go by and the off-season progresses, Warriors fans find themselves caught between hope and anxiety. The core of the team is mostly set, but there are still open spots, important decisions to be made, and behind-the-scenes conversations ongoing. The truth is, the market hasn't had its final say yet, and Golden State knows it. The franchise's executives are at a delicate crossroads. On one hand, there's a clear desire to keep a competitive roster around Curry, making the most of the final years of his prime. On the other, there's obvious budget pressure, salary cap restrictions, and a young roster that hasn't fully matured. This intersection between present and future demands bold, and above all, calculated decisions. And that's where the Kuminga situation gains strength again. Because despite all the trade talk, nothing concrete has materialized. No official offer has been submitted or accepted. The player is still tied to the team, training, preparing, but with one foot out. There's a quiet tension in the air, like a clock still ticking, but no one knows when the alarm will sound. The front office seems to be handling the situation with more caution than impatience. They know rushing would be a mistake. Trading Kuminga for less than what he could be worth in a season or two would be a critical error. But keeping him frustrated, unhappy with limited minutes and salary demands that don't align with reality, could blow up any collective plan. Meanwhile, Steph continues to act as the team's anchor. He's not just calm, he's involved. He's in constant contact with the general manager, attends workouts, gives feedback to the younger players, and most importantly, inspires confidence in the group. It's the kind of leadership that goes far beyond stats. And in a moment like this, it makes all the difference. Behind the scenes, word is that Curry is particularly interested in the arrival of one or two seasoned players to bolster the squad. A name like Al Horford, for example, who, even at the twilight of his career, still commands respect and offers defensive stability. Another player drawing attention is DeAnthony Melton, a versatile defender, good locker room presence, and someone who doesn't need the spotlight on offense. These types of players would be crucial in balancing the youth of the roster and ensuring the tactical structure doesn't collapse in the event of injuries or inconsistency throughout the season. Golden State has always had a strong core, but depth has been a recurring issue, and with the franchise's high standards, there's no room for improvisation when the playoffs arrive. Still, there's a realistic expectation that the 2025-26 team will have a different identity, perhaps more collective, more physical, more disciplined, less reliant on flashes of brilliance, and more focused on execution. That might sound strange coming from a team with Curry, but it's exactly the type of evolution elite teams must go through to stay relevant. And the roles of players like Brandon Podziemski and Trace Jackson-Davis are set to grow. They've already shown they can compete at a high level. They earned minutes last season, learned the system, and showed a willingness to grow. Now it's time to take the next step. The coaching staff believes in them, and there's a reason they were kept out of Summer League. The message is clear. The testing phase is over. Now it's time to deliver. Gui Santos is also part of this group. His development has been closely watched, and his versatility could turn into a positive surprise. He's got size, energy, and an interesting feel for the game. He's not a proven name yet, but he could become a valuable tactical piece in specific lineups. And this brings us back to the central theme, building a team with identity. The Warriors' foundation has always been clear. Constant movement, quick reads, smart defense, and a fluid offense built on trust and rhythm. In recent years, some of those traits have faded. The attempt to reinvent themselves has had its highs and lows. But now there seems to be a clearer plan in place to get back to those roots. Of course, all of this depends on how the next few weeks unfold. Decisions regarding Kuminga, Kevin Knox, and even possible additions like Horford or Melton need to happen soon. The preseason is already on the horizon, and for a team like the Warriors, preparation isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Another point that can't be overlooked is the financial reality. Joe Lacob has always been an owner willing to spend, but even he is now facing the limits of the NBA's new tax rules. That means, as much as they want to build a deep roster, they have to do it creatively. Smart trades, short-term contracts, and internal development will dictate the team's success this season, and of course, fans are watching all of this closely. Social media explodes with every new rumor. Some fans call for patience, others demand sweeping changes. But at the end of the day, they all want the same thing, to see Golden State competing for titles again. And that will take more than talent. It will take vision. That's why the coming weeks are so critical. Because they won't just shape the roster, they'll shape the team's identity. They'll reveal whether the front office has learned from recent missteps, whether there's a real plan being followed, and whether the group's leaders still have enough fuel for another elite run. So now I ask you, do you believe in this roster? Do you trust Steph to lead one more time? Do you think Post can hold things down in the paint? Should Kuminga be traded or kept? Let me know in the comments. The voice of the fans helps build this team too. And if you've made it this far, it's because you want more than headlines. You want depth, inside info, and the truth. So stay with us because in the next video, we'll break down every potential trade scenario involving Kuminga and reveal which names around the league are really on Golden State's radar right now. Spoiler, it's not just Horford. There are surprises that could change the entire storyline. Behind the scenes of the league, every silence hides a potential deal. And when it comes to Golden State, this rings even truer. The front office, known for operating with discretion, has been signaling that something is in the works. The looming question is, will it be enough to put this team back among the top title contenders? Because right now, the expectations are sky high, but execution still requires key pieces. Kuminga's name remains the epicenter of multiple conversations. And it's not just because of his potential, but also because he represents a crossroads. Should the team keep a talented young player who hasn't fully clicked in the system yet, or use him as a trade asset to acquire players who are ready to contribute immediately and fit better into the current win-now blueprint? That's the key dilemma. And so far, the market is responding coldly. No team has yet come forward with an offer that meets the Warriors' expectations. The contract value Kuminga is reportedly seeking, around $25 million per season, doesn't align with his current production. Is he talented? No doubt. Does he have potential? Absolutely. But is it already time to treat him as a franchise cornerstone? The Phoenix Suns seem to believe so. Their interest dates back to February and has only grown with Kevin Durant's departure. But for any deal to go through, the contracts involved must make financial sense. It's not just about talent. It's about numbers, fit, cap projections, tax implications, and payroll sustainability. The two proposals making the rounds include players like Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards, or alternatively Grayson Allen, though the Warriors have shown some hesitation due to Allen's contract. O'Neal, for instance, is a veteran who fits well into a team-oriented system and posts solid three-point percentages, especially from the corners. Richards, on the other hand, would provide immediate help in the paint, something that has become urgent with Post's temporary absence and the departure of other key rotation players. But is that enough to justify letting go of someone with Kuminga's ceiling? That's the question freezing all decisions. The fear of a bad trade still weighs heavily on the front office, and every hour that passes without a better offer only increases the pressure. The off-season clock is ticking, and the window for strategic moves is narrowing. Meanwhile, inside the team's facilities, the pace remains intense. Steph Curry has been more involved than ever in the details, not just because he's the heart of the franchise, but because he knows time is against him. The window for one more championship run is still open, but not forever. There are reports suggesting he's been taking part in informal conversations with potential targets, exchanging messages, helping with quiet recruiting. This isn't uncommon among superstars. And in Steph's case, his presence and influence might be the key factor in convincing veterans to take pay cuts for a real shot at a ring. Names like Al Horford, who brings leadership and experience, are on the radar. Even though he's no longer the dominant force of previous years, his basketball IQ and ability to anchor a defense still make him extremely valuable in a system like Golden State's. He doesn't need to play 30 minutes, just the right 15. Another name drawing attention is DeAnthony Melton, a versatile defender with a reliable shot who embraces a secondary role with ease. He could be a key piece in the rotation, covering multiple positions and easing the defensive burden on Curry and others. On a team striving for balance, players like him make a big difference. And that's not all. There are whispers that the front office is quietly monitoring other names in the secondary market. Some players are waiting to see what unfolds in the primary market. Others are holding out for a clear role on more high-profile teams. And it's in that gray area that Golden State could strike smartly. While the world's eyes are fixed on superstars, the Warriors may find value in the margins. That's where the coaching staff and scouts come in. And let's be honest, few teams in recent years have been as skilled at finding hidden talent as the Warriors. The latest example is Podziemski, who arrived without major expectations and quickly carved out a spot thanks to his energy, basketball IQ, and drive. Trust in internal development remains one of the franchise's strongest assets. Trace Jackson-Davis, for instance, is another player poised to step up this year. He's shown defensive solidity, has the size to battle experienced bigs, and has been working hard on his offensive game. His presence could ease some of the pressure on Quinton Post and offer more tactical flexibility for the coach. Guy Santos, still a question mark for some fans, is also part of the plan. He's increasingly comfortable in the NBA environment, even without much playing time yet. He's patient, respects the pecking order, and seems to understand the process. If he can improve his shooting and continue developing his defensive reads, he could end up being a key piece in the rotation. This is the point where everything converges. Golden State is trying something rare, staying competitive at the highest level while grooming the next generation. And that demands balance. You can't trade all the youth for veterans, nor can you bet everything on potential and waste Curry's final elite years. It's like walking a tightrope. One misstep and everything could collapse. But if it works, if the decisions are spot on and the pieces fit, this team could surprise again. Because no matter how much the media spotlight has shifted to other NBA markets, you can never underestimate a team with a strong foundation, elite leadership, and a winning culture. And that foundation is intact. Curry, Draymond Green, Wiggins, players who've won together, who know the way, who understand the price of glory. Now the mission is to surround them with the right pieces, through trades, through ready young players, through veterans who still have something left to give. We're witnessing a quiet transition. What's done now, behind closed doors, will echo when the ball is tipped. That's why every move matters. And as always, the fan base is right there, suffering, debating, supporting, waiting. If you've stayed with us this far, stay tuned. In the next chapter, we'll dive into who else might be involved in the trade talks, what rival teams are planning, and how each Warriors' decision could shift the balance of power in the Western Conference. The off-season saga isn't over yet, and the most dramatic scenes may still be ahead. The NBA landscape is constantly evolving, and one of the moves that has generated a lot of speculation is the potential arrival of Sotto to the Golden State Warriors for the 2025 season. This rumor has been gaining momentum recently, with reports indicating that the team is in discreet negotiations to secure the signing of the Filipino center, who has been making a name for himself in international leagues. If this transaction goes through, it would not only change the game on the court, but also have a massive impact off the court, especially within the Filipino community, which already feels represented by Sotto in many parts of the world. Standing at 2.18 meters tall, Sotto stands out as an imposing presence on the court, but his influence goes beyond his height. He is a complete athlete, whose skills make him one of the most exciting prospects in the NBA. His combination of height, wingspan, and technical abilities is rare. As a defender, Sotto is an effective shot blocker, using his excellent reaction time and long wingspan to protect the rim. But it's not just his defense that catches attention. His offensive ability, especially his mid-range shooting, sets him apart from many other centers in the league. His versatility on offense makes him a key asset for teams that prioritize modern basketball, which demands diverse skills from its players. Sotto's development didn't happen overnight. Born in the Philippines, a country where basketball is almost a religion, he quickly drew attention due to his natural talent and, most importantly, his dedication. His journey as a player began early, but to reach an international level, he had to venture outside his homeland. This led him to play in the National Basketball League, NBL, in Australia, where he faced a much higher level of competition. His ability to stand out in such a competitive setting solidified him as a cornerstone player for his teams, both offensively and defensively. Not only proved his worth but also became an icon of Filipino basketball, showcasing the potential of the nation on the global stage. Sotto's journey continued when he moved to the B-League in Japan. There, he had the chance to further develop, facing top-tier opponents while taking the name of the Philippines to new heights. His adaptation to international basketball was remarkable, and his skills as a defender and his ability to represent Filipino culture made him one of the most admired players in the league. Now, with the possibility of joining the NBA, Sotto feels ready to take on the greatest challenge of his career so far, and the team that might help him in this process is the Golden State Warriors, a franchise known for its fast and dynamic style of play. But beyond being an innovative team, the Warriors also have a clear need in their roster: the lack of a dominant presence in the paint. This has been a deficiency that, while the team has overcome it in many seasons with its fast-paced play and three-point shooting, remains an area that could be strengthened. And this is exactly where Sotto fits in. If signed, Kai's impact on the Warriors would be immediate. His ability to grab rebounds, both defensively and offensively, would provide a significant advantage to the team, especially during fast breaks, which are a hallmark of the Warriors' playing style. Additionally, his ability to protect the rim would be a valuable addition to the team's defense. In moments when the team needs a strong presence in the paint, Sotto could be the player capable of making a difference. The Warriors' offense would also benefit from his presence. His ability to shoot mid-range would open up more space for perimeter players, allowing the Golden State team to further explore its fast-paced plays and three-point shooting. Sotto's offensive flexibility is something the Warriors need to continue innovating and remain one of the top forces in the NBA. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Hit the bell to get the latest news firsthand. Thank you for watching and see you next time.